All right, welcome to another deep dive. Today, we're going to kind of unpack some interesting psychology
Okay.
about what attracts younger women to older men. We're digging into this source. It's called "Older Men Don't Realize This Attracts Younger Women.
Hmm.
Do this to tempt her." High Value Psychology.
Hi.
It sounds a little clickbaity, I know,
Mm-hmm.
but I think you'll find there's some genuine
Yeah,
food for thought here.
absolutely. What I find fascinating is how the source flips the script on common assumptions about aging. Instead of seeing older men as disadvantaged in the dating world,
Right.
it argues that their maturity and experience are assets.
So it's about reframing how we think about age, right? Not as a decline, but as a kind of power move.
Exactly. The source dives into this concept of maturity being a major draw. It's not just about the number of candles on the birthday cake, but about possessing qualities like emotional intelligence and decisiveness, things that
Yeah.
often come with time and experience.
Yeah.
It uses this great phrase, calming presence, to describe the appeal of an older man who's weathered life's storms.
I could see that. It's easy to imagine a younger woman being drawn to someone who brings stability and emotional depth to the table, especially if she's surrounded by peers who are still figuring things out.
Yeah.
But wouldn't some women be looking for excitement and spontaneity? Maybe even a bit of chaos.
That's a great point. Not every woman seeks the same thing in a partner, and there are certainly younger women who might be drawn to the energy and impulsiveness of someone their own age.
Right.
But the source focuses on a specific demographic of women who are looking for security and stability, often because they've already had their fill of drama
Okay.
in past relationships.
That makes sense. So it's about compatibility of life stages and relationship goals, not just a simple age difference. And the source also talks about confidence
Yeah.
being a major factor.
Right. Yes, confidence is key. It's about a man knowing his own worth and not needing constant external validation. The source describes it as walking into a room with purpose.
Right.
It's not arrogance,
Yeah.
but a quiet self-assurance that can be incredibly magnetic.
It's interesting because I can definitely see how that kind of confidence could be misinterpreted as arrogance,
Yeah.
especially by someone younger who might be insecure.
Yeah,
So it's a fine line to walk, wouldn't you say?
absolutely. It's about owning your strengths without putting others down. It's about being comfortable in your own skin, which can be incredibly attractive.
The source also touches on the importance of appearance, but not in the way you might expect.
Right. It emphasizes refinement rather than youthfulness. It's not about trying to look 20 again. Instead, it's about showcasing a mature sense of style.
Yeah.
Well-fitted clothes, attention to detail, maybe a signature scent. These things can signal self-respect and create a lasting impression.
Speaking of scent, I found that part particularly interesting. It mentioned that women have a stronger sense of smell than men, and that scent is tied to emotional memory. It even suggested that a well-chosen cologne could be a secret weapon.
It's true that our sense of smell is incredibly powerful
Yeah.
and often overlooked when it comes to attraction. It's fascinating how a certain scent can trigger a flood of emotions and memories,
Yeah.
forging a connection that goes beyond the visual.
I wonder if that's why some people get so attached to a particular fragrance, maybe reminds them of someone or a specific time in their lives. But what about the emotional side of things? The source seems to suggest that
Yeah.
older men have a leg up when it comes to emotional intelligence.
Well, it argues that with age often comes a deeper understanding of emotions, both our own and those of others. It's about having gone through the ups and downs of life and relationships, learning from heartbreak, and developing the capacity for empathy and emotional regulation.
So an older man might be better equipped to handle a woman's emotional needs because he's already navigated those waters himself.
Exactly. He's less likely to be thrown off by strong emotions
Right.
or to react defensively. Instead, he can offer a listening ear, a calming presence, and a mature perspective that many younger women find incredibly attractive.
That makes sense. It's about having the emotional maturity to be a supportive partner, not just someone who's looking for
Yep.
their own needs to be met.
Yeah.
But the source doesn't just focus on stability and emotional depth. It also talks about the importance of adventure.
Yes, it challenges the stereotype of older men being set in their ways and predictable. It argues that maintaining a spirit of adventure, a thirst for new experiences, is incredibly attractive.
So it's about embodying enthusiasm for life, as the source puts it. It's about being open to new things, whether it's traveling to exotic destinations or simply trying a new restaurant.
Exactly. And that this doesn't have to involve grand gestures. It could be something as simple as being willing to try a new hobby, engage in intellectual discussions, or explore different perspectives. It's about demonstrating a continued curiosity about the world.
I love that. It's about being a lifelong learner, staying engaged and open to new possibilities. That can be incredibly attractive, regardless of age.
And it's not just about external adventures. It's also about having that internal spark,
Right.
that zest for life that can be contagious.
So you're saying it's less about checking things off a bucket list and more about having a genuine passion for living a sort of inner fire.
Exactly. And that ties into another point the source makes about honesty and open communication. It suggests that older men, having learned from past relationships, tend to be more straightforward
Okay.
and less prone to playing games.
I could see how that would be appealing.
Yeah.
It's refreshing to be with someone who's upfront about their intentions and desires. It creates a sense of safety and trust. But wouldn't that depend on the individual, not necessarily their age?
Of course, individual experiences vary. But the source argues that older men often reach a point where they're more comfortable with who they are and what they want. They're less likely to be driven by insecurity or the need to prove themselves.
That makes sense. It's about being secure in yourself.
Yeah.
Not needing to play games to get attention or validation.
Right.
And the source also talks about happiness
Yeah.
being a big draw.
Yes, it suggests that people are naturally drawn to those who radiate positivity and genuinely enjoy life. It's like a breath of fresh air to be around someone who's content and upbeat.
It's almost like happiness is contagious.
Yeah.
You spend time with someone who's genuinely happy.
Yeah.
And it rubs off on you. I know I'd much rather be around someone
Yeah,
who lifts me up than someone who brings me down.
sure.
But wouldn't that also depend on personality and temperament rather than just age?
Of course, not every older man is a beacon of positivity, and there are plenty of younger people who are incredibly joyful and optimistic. But the source is highlighting a general trend, suggesting that with age often comes a greater appreciation for the simple things in life and a more balanced perspective on the ups and downs.
It's like you've learned to weather the storms
Yeah.
and appreciate the sunshine even more
Mm,
when it comes out.
Right.
And the source also touches on leadership as being
Yeah.
an attractive quality, right?
Yes, but it's important to clarify that leadership in this context doesn't mean dominance or control. It's about guidance, decisiveness, and a willingness to take responsibility.
Okay.
Whether it's something small, like choosing a restaurant, or something bigger, like having a clear vision
Uh-huh.
for the future, leadership can signal strength and reliability.
So it's about feeling like your partner
Mm.
has a sense of direction and that you
Okay.
can trust their judgment.
Mhm.
But couldn't that also lead to a power imbalance in a relationship? What if the older man starts making all the decisions and the younger woman feels like her voice isn't being heard?
That's a valid concern, and it's important to have open communication
Huh?
and mutual respect in any relationship, regardless of age. Leadership should be about collaboration, not control. It's about working together as partners,
Right.
not one person dictating the terms.
That makes sense. It's about finding a balance between leading and listening, supporting and being supported.
Mhm.
And the source also mentions social proof
Mm,
as being a factor. right?
yes, it highlights the fact that we're often drawn to people who are seen as valuable by others. A man who is respected in his community, admired for his achievements, or sought after for his expertise naturally attracts attention.
But it's like that unconscious bias we all have. We assume that if other people value someone, they must be worth knowing.
Right.
But wouldn't that also depend on the social circles involved?
Right.
What one group finds admirable,
Mm.
another might find off-putting.
Absolutely. Social proof is relative, and it's certainly not a guarantee of compatibility or character.
Right.
But the source is pointing out that we're social creatures,
Yeah.
and we're wired to pay attention to social cues.
So it's about recognizing that. Social dynamics play a role in attraction, even if we're not always conscious of it.
Mm-hmm.
And the source also brings up financial stability
Yeah.
as being a factor, right?
Yes. And it emphasizes that this isn't necessarily about wealth, but about responsibility and security. It's about demonstrating sound financial judgment
Hmm.
and being able to provide a stable foundation for
Okay.
a relationship.
So it's not about flashing cash,
Yeah.
but about showing that you're responsible and capable
Yeah.
of managing your finances.
Exactly.
But wouldn't that create a dynamic where the younger woman might feel financially dependent on the older man?
That's a valid concern.
Yeah.
And it's important for both partners to maintain their financial independence and have open conversations
Yeah.
about their financial goals and values. Financial stability should never be used as a tool for
Totally.
control or manipulation.
Right. It's about mutual respect and financial transparency. And the source also talks about independence
Right.
as being an attractive quality, right?
Yeah.
Yes, it emphasizes the appeal of a man who has built a fulfilling life for himself with passions, purpose, and a strong sense of self. He's not looking for a woman to complete him, but rather to enhance an already rich and meaningful life.
So it's about bringing something to the table,
Yeah.
not looking for someone to fill a void
Right.
that can be incredibly attractive,
Yeah.
regardless of age. But wouldn't that also depend on the woman's personality and her own sense of independence? Some women might prefer a partner who's more emotionally available and present, even if it means they're less independent in other areas of their lives.
That's a great point. It all comes back to compatibility and shared values. The source is presenting a particular perspective, but it's important to remember that there's no
Right.
one-size-fits-all answer when it comes to attraction.
So it's about recognizing that different people are drawn to different qualities, and what works for one couple might not work for another.
Exactly.
And the source also talks about communication as being
Yeah.
crucial, right?
Absolutely. It suggests that older men, having honed their communication skills over time, are often better able to express themselves clearly and to listen attentively.
It's about being able to articulate your thoughts and feelings,
Mm-hmm.
but also to truly hear what your partner is saying. But wouldn't effective communication also depend on the individual's personality and their willingness to be vulnerable and open?
Of course, communication is a two-way street, and it requires effort from both partners. But the source is highlighting the fact that effective communication often involves skills
Right.
that are developed over time through experience and self-reflection.
So it's about recognizing that communication is a skill that can be learned and improved upon, and that good communication is essential for any healthy relationship.
Right.
And the source also mentions mentorship as being an attractive dynamic. Right?
Yes, it suggests that some younger women are drawn to the wisdom and guidance that an older man can offer. It's about having someone who can provide a different perspective, share their life experiences, and offer support and encouragement.
I can see how that would be appealing, especially if you're at a stage in your life
Yeah.
where you're looking for guidance or mentorship.
Mm-hmm.
But wouldn't that also depend on the power dynamic in the relationship? What if the older man starts to see himself as the teacher and the younger woman as the student? That could create an unhealthy imbalance.
That's a valid concern. A healthy mentor-mentee relationship is based on mutual respect and a willingness to learn from each other. It's about sharing knowledge and experiences,
Right.
not about one person asserting their dominance over the other.
So it's about finding that balance between offering guidance and allowing the other person to make their own choices and learn from their own experiences.
Right.
And the source also talks about the
Artic-
importance of purpose. Right.
Yes, it suggests that having a sense of purpose, a clear vision for your life, can be incredibly attractive.
It's about knowing where you're going
Mhm.
and what you want to achieve. It's about having passions and goals that drive you forward. But wouldn't that also depend on the individual's values and priorities?
Yeah.
What one person finds meaningful, another might find trivial.
Absolutely. Purpose is deeply personal.
Yeah.
And it's about aligning your actions with your values. But the source is highlighting the fact that having a sense of purpose can provide direction and stability
Yes.
qualities that can be attractive in a partner.
It's like you're not just drifting through life,
Yeah.
but you have a sense of intention and direction. And that can be incredibly inspiring to be around. The source seems to be painting a picture of an older man who's confident, emotionally intelligent, adventurous, honest, happy, a good leader, financially stable, independent, a good communicator, and purpose-driven. That's quite a checklist.
It is. And it's important to remember that these are just some potential factors that might contribute to attraction. It's not a guarantee, and not every older man possesses all of these qualities.
Right. And not every younger woman is looking for these specific qualities in a partner. Attraction is complex, and it's influenced by a wide range of factors.
Exactly. We're exploring a specific dynamic here. But It's important to avoid overgeneralizations. Each relationship is unique, and what works for one couple might not work for another.
It seems like we've covered a lot of ground here,
Mm.
exploring all these different facets of what might attract younger women to older men.
Mm.
But there's one thing I'm still curious about. The source talks about patience as another attractive quality, but I'm wondering how that fits into the bigger picture.
That's a great question. Patience is often seen as a virtue that comes with age, a willingness to let things unfold naturally, without forcing the process. It's about understanding that good things take time, and that relationships need space to breathe.
So an older man might be less likely to rush things or put pressure on a relationship to move at a certain pace.
Yeah.
That could definitely create a sense of ease and security.
Yeah.
Especially for someone who's been in relationships
Right.
where they felt rushed or pressured.
Right.
But couldn't that also be interpreted as a lack of passion or excitement?
Yeah.
Wouldn't a younger woman want someone who's more spontaneous
Yeah.
and eager to jump into things head first?
It's a balancing act for sure. While some people might thrive on that initial whirlwind of passion, others might find it overwhelming or even a bit reckless. Patience doesn't have to mean being passive or lacking enthusiasm. It's about being present and attentive, allowing the relationship to unfold organically without trying to control the outcome.
That makes sense. It's about finding that sweet spot between being proactive and being patient, between pursuing your desires and allowing things to unfold naturally. And the source concludes by emphasizing the importance of self-worth. What's interesting is that this seems to tie into all the other qualities we've discussed.
Exactly. It's like the foundation
Yeah.
upon which everything else is built. A man who truly values himself, who recognizes his own strengths, and accepts his imperfections, will naturally radiate confidence and attract others who see him the same way.
It's about owning your worth, not needing constant external validation. That kind of inner strength can be incredibly magnetic.
Yeah.
Because it shows that you're not looking for someone to complete you, but rather to share your life with.
Right.
But wouldn't that also depend on the woman's own sense of self-worth? If she's insecure or looking for someone to validate her,
Yeah.
wouldn't she be drawn to a different type of man?
Absolutely. Self-worth is a two-way street. For a relationship to be truly healthy and fulfilling, both partners need to have a strong sense of their own value. But the source is emphasizing that. A man who embraces his own worth will naturally attract others who value him for who he is, not for what he can do for them.
So it's about being authentic,
Yeah.
genuine, and comfortable in your own skin. That's a powerful message. And it goes beyond just attracting a partner. It's about living a fulfilling life, regardless of your relationship status.
Exactly. It's about recognizing that. True happiness and fulfillment come from within, from cultivating self-love and living in alignment with your values. And that kind of inner radiance is what truly makes someone attractive, regardless of their age.
That's a beautiful way to put it. So to bring this all back to our listener, what's the key takeaway here? If an older man is listening to this, should start wearing cologne and practicing his salsa moves to attract younger women.
I think the takeaway is much deeper than that. It's not about adopting superficial tactics or trying to fit into a mold. It's about focusing on genuine self-improvement, cultivating the qualities we've discussed, maturity, confidence, emotional intelligence, purpose. Not to manipulate others, but to become the best version of yourself.
It's about attracting the right people into your life. People who appreciate you for who you are, not for who you pretend to be.
Right.
It's about building authentic connections based on shared values, mutual respect, and genuine attraction.
Exactly. And I think that's a much more fulfilling and sustainable approach than trying to play games or chase after something that isn't meant for you.
It's about recognizing that. True attractiveness comes from within, from the qualities you embody and the impact you have on the world.
And on that note, I'd like to leave our listener with a final thought to ponder. If you could go back in time and give your younger self one piece of advice about relationships and attraction, what would it be?
That's a great question to reflect on. Thanks for joining us for this deep dive. Until next time, keep exploring, keep learning, and keep being your awesome selves.